The discount dilemma. Marco caught his reflection in the bathroom mirror, flexing his bicep. Not bad, he thought, a grin spreading across his face. He had a new client consultation in an hour, Mrs. Davison, referred by her doctor for post-surgical rehabilitation. He envisioned helping her regain her strength, guiding her back to a life free from pain. It was a good feeling, this sense of purpose. His phone buzzed, shattering the moment. A text from Leo, "Dude, can we talk? Urgent." Marco frowned. Urgent usually meant Leo had accidentally set something on fire trying a new recipe he saw on TikTok. He called back. "Hey, what's up?" "So," Leo began, his voice unusually hesitant, "Mom's been talking about getting back in shape. You know, feeling good again. And well, I told her about you." Marco's smile returned. "That's great, Leo. I'd love to work with her." He imagined the radiant smile on Leo's mother's face, a woman who exuded warmth like a summer sun. "Yeah, about that." Leo cleared his throat. "She's really excited, but, money's a little tight right now. I was wondering. Could you maybe give her a substantial discount? Like, a really substantial discount?" The air in the bathroom seemed to thicken. Marco lowered his arm, the image in the mirror suddenly less impressive. "Leo, you know I already offer introductory rates." I know, Leo rushed on, "but she's my mom, Marco. And she deserves the best. I just thought, since we're friends, you could do me a solid. Think of it as helping out family." Marco ran a hand through his hair. He had bills to pay, a business to run. He'd poured his savings into this gym, sacrificing nights out and new clothes. He'd even skipped Comic-Con last year. "Leo, I don't know." He hated the way he sounded, weak and unsure. "Come on, Marco," Leo pleaded, a playful edge creeping back into his voice. "Don't be like that. It would mean the world to her, and to me. Maybe you could even, I don't know, barter. She makes the best lasagna this side of Naples." Marco chuckled despite himself. Lasagna was tempting, but it didn't cover rent. He glanced at the clock. Mrs. Davison would be here soon. "Let me think about it, okay? I have a client coming in, but I'll call you later." "Seriously? Thanks, man. You're a lifesaver." Leo hung up before Marco could say anything else. He stared at his reflection again. The muscles seemed smaller now, the grin forced. He was torn. He valued his friendship with Leo, he really did. But how much could he afford to sacrifice for it? The scent of his aftershave suddenly felt cloying, a mask hiding the dilemma churning inside him. He splashed cold water on his face, trying to wash away the indecision. Mrs. Davison would be here any minute, and he needed to be professional, focused. But Leo's request, the weight of his friendship, lingered like a persistent ache. An unexpected proposal. Marco chewed on his lip, the taste of stale coffee lingering unpleasantly. "Leo, I understand the financial strain. I really do. How about a 5% discount?" He watched Leo's face, searching for a glimmer of hope. Leo sighed, running a hand through his perpetually messy hair. "Marco, I appreciate it, I really do. But even with that, it's still a stretch. Mom's been talking about cutting back on her art supplies, and that's the one thing that truly makes her happy." Marco's heart sank. He knew how much Sophia loved her art. The vibrant canvases that filled their house spoke of a life lived in color, a stark contrast to the grayness she sometimes wore on her face. An idea, audacious and unexpected, blossomed in his mind. What if I trained your mom?" The words tumbled out before he could fully process them. He immediately regretted it, a flush creeping up his neck. It was unprofessional, blurring the lines of friendship and business in a way he usually avoided. Leo blinked, his head tilting slightly. "Train mom? You mean, instead of me? Marco swallowed, forcing himself to meet Leo's gaze. Well, yes. She's mentioned wanting to get back in shape. And with her arthritis, a tailored program could really help. Plus, he added, trying to sound nonchalant, I could offer a different rate, one that works for your family. Leo was silent for a long moment, his brow furrowed in thought. Marco could practically see the gears turning in his head, weighing the pros and cons. The scent of lavender from the potpourri on Leo's desk filled the air, a surprisingly calming contrast to the turmoil brewing within Marco. Finally, Leo spoke, his voice laced with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. I don't know, Marco. That's unexpected. Mom's never really been one for gyms or personal trainers. She prefers her walks in the park, sketching in her notebook. He paused, tapping a pen against his teeth. But, she has been complaining about her knees lately. And she did say she wanted to feel more energetic. He looked up at Marco, a flicker of something akin to hope in his eyes. Tell me more. Flowers and first impressions. The bell above the door of Sophia's Blooms chimed a cheerful welcome as Marco stepped inside, a stark contrast to the blaring city sounds he'd left behind. The small shop buzzed with a vibrant energy, a kaleidoscope of color and intoxicating fragrance. Flowers spilled from buckets, climbed trellises, and hung in delicate arrangements from the ceiling. It was a sensory explosion, a pocket of springtime amidst the concrete jungle. A woman with sunshine in her hair and soil smudged on her cheek was arranging a bouquet of sunflowers at a workbench. Just a minute, she called out, her voice bright and melodic, without looking up. Marco watched her deft fingers dance amongst the stems, a look of intense concentration etched on her face. He shifted his weight, suddenly self-conscious in his gym clothes. He hadn't bothered to change after his last client, figuring this would be a quick in-and-out errand. All right, I'm all yours, she said, finally turning around. Her smile was radiant, instantly warming the space. Welcome to Sophia's Blooms. What can I do for you? Hi, Marco stammered, momentarily thrown off by her energy. I'm Marco. My friend, Leo's mom, Mrs. Bellini, she recommended you. Sophia's eyes lit up. Oh, Mrs. Bellini. What a sweetheart. She gets her orchids from me. Is this for her? No. It's for, well, it's complicated, Marco admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. He was supposed to get flowers for his friend, because his friend had asked for a discount on his personal training session. Sophia chuckled, a light, airy sound that made Marco's chest tighten. Flowers usually are. Tell me the story. Who are we trying to impress? Or comfort? Or apologize to? He hesitated. Impress, I guess. It's complicated. He finally admitted the truth, feeling a strange mix of embarrassment and anticipation. I'm a personal trainer, and someone asked for a discount. I couldn't give it to them, but they were bummed, and my friend's mom recommended your shop for a beautiful bouquet in lieu of money. Sophia threw her head back and laughed, a full-bodied, infectious sound. Only in this city. Okay, Mr. Trainer, let's find something that says, I value your health, but my business is also important. She winked, and Marco felt a warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with exercise. He followed her deeper into the shop, captivated by her energy and the genuine passion that radiated from her every movement. He knew, with a certainty that surprised him, that this visit was going to be anything but a quick errand. Training begins. All right, Sophia said, a playful glint in her eye, but only if you promise not to make me do any of those awful burpees I see you torturing other people with. Marco laughed, relieved. Deal. Absolutely no burpees. We'll take it nice and slow. He already had a plan forming in his mind, a gentle routine focused on building core strength and flexibility. He envisioned incorporating some yoga-inspired movements, things that would complement her work with the flowers, the constant bending and lifting. The following morning, Marco arrived at the flower shop armed with a yoga mat and a water bottle. Sophia had cleared a space amidst the blooms, a fragrant sanctuary bathed in soft, diffused light. Ready to be transformed, he teased, unrolling the mat. As I'll ever be, she replied, a hint of nervous energy in her voice. He started with a series of stretches, guiding her through each movement with careful precision. Focus on your breath, he instructed, his voice a calming presence in the floral-scented air. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. As the days turned into weeks, their training sessions became a cherished ritual. Marco discovered a surprising vulnerability beneath Sophia's cheerful exterior. During a water break one afternoon, she confessed her fear of slowing down, of losing her edge as she got older. It's silly, I know, she said, wiping her brow, but I don't want to become invisible. Marco, in turn, found himself opening up to her about his own insecurities. He admitted that he sometimes felt defined solely by his physique, worried that people wouldn't see past his muscles to the person within. That's ridiculous, Marco, Sophia scoffed gently. You're so much more than that. You're kind, you're funny, and you're incredibly thoughtful. Her words, sincere and heartfelt, landed like a warm embrace. He realized that she saw him, truly saw him, in a way that few others ever had. The air crackled with an unspoken connection, a silent acknowledgement of something blossoming between them, as delicate and vibrant as the flowers that surrounded them. Suspicious minds. Leo first noticed it on Tuesday. He was cutting through the alley behind Sophia's Petals, heading to Benny's Burgers for lunch, when he saw Marco helping his mom unload a shipment of hydrangeas. Nothing inherently strange about that, Marco was a good guy, always willing to lend a hand. But then Leo saw him there again on Wednesday, meticulously arranging lilies in the window display, and again on Thursday, sweeping the sidewalk with an almost theatrical flourish. Someone's been spending a lot of time around flowers lately, Leo remarked on Friday as he and Marco spotted each other at the gym. Marco's cheeks flushed a shade deeper than the crimson weights he was lifting. Just helping out. Your mom needed some extra hands. Leo chuckled, spotting an opportunity for mischief. Helping out, huh? Or something more. He waggled his eyebrows suggestively. You got a thing for petunias, Rossi? Marco set down the weights with a clang, his usual easygoing demeanor replaced with a slight defensiveness. Don't be ridiculous, Leo. Your mom is a great lady. I respect her. And she pays me to do things for her. Relax, I'm just messing with you, Leo said, though a seed of genuine curiosity had been planted. He'd never seen Marco so flustered. But seriously, you can always tell me if there's, something going on. Marco grabbed a towel and wiped his brow, avoiding eye contact. Nothing's going on. Just trying to be a good friend. He changed the subject abruptly, launching into a detailed analysis of Leo's bicep curl form. The rest of their workout was filled with an unusual tension. Leo kept catching Marco glancing in his direction with a nervous energy he hadn't seen before. Back at the flower shop that Saturday, he saw Marco laughing with Sophia as they pruned roses, the sunlight catching in their hair. He grinned, thinking how happy his mom looked, but still felt a twinge of something he couldn't quite place. Was it jealousy? Confusion? Or just plain old suspiciousness? He couldn't quite tell. Lilies and rain. Marco fidgeted with the lilies tucked behind his back, their heady perfume a little overwhelming in the morning air. He spotted Sophia near the park's entrance, her smile as bright as the sun filtering through the trees. Good morning, he called out, his voice a little higher than usual. He pulled the flowers out, presenting them with a slightly awkward bow. For you. Because, well, you mentioned you liked them. Sophia's eyes widened. Marco, they're beautiful. Thank you. She inhaled deeply, her face softening. Lilies are my absolute favorite. He grinned, relieved. Perfect. Now, how about we earn these beauties with a little cardio? He gestured towards a clearing. He'd mapped out a circuit training routine, incorporating the park benches and a sturdy oak for pull-ups. They started with lunges, Sophia's form impeccable. Marco, usually laser-focused on his clients, found himself distracted by the way the sunlight caught in her hair. He pushed the thought away and called out encouragement. They moved on to squats, then dips on the park bench, their laughter echoing through the otherwise quiet morning. Just as they were about to begin the final set of push-ups, the sky darkened ominously. Fat raindrops began to splat on the pavement. "Looks like Mother Nature has other plans," Sophia said, wiping rain from her forehead. Marco scanned the park. "There's a gazebo over there. Quick, before we're soaked." They sprinted towards the shelter, the downpour intensifying. By the time they reached the gazebo, they were both drenched, their clothes clinging uncomfortably. Sophia shivered. "Here," Marco said, awkwardly removing his light jacket. "It's not much, but it's something." She hesitated. "You'll be cold." "Don't worry about me," he said, a little too quickly. He held the jacket out, and she finally took it, wrapping it around her shoulders. The gazebo offered little protection from the wind, and the rain beat down relentlessly. An uncomfortable silence settled between them, punctuated only by the drumming of the rain. Marco found himself staring at Sophia, at the way the rain had plastered her hair to her forehead, at the genuine warmth in her eyes, even as she shivered. He wanted to say something, anything, to break the tension, but the words seemed to catch in his throat. The air crackled with an energy he couldn't ignore, a silent question hanging between them, as heavy as the rain-soaked sky. Sophia met his gaze, a small smile playing on her lips. "Well, this is certainly cozy. A sprained ankle and a confession." The overgrown path, usually a charming shortcut, proved treacherous. Sophia, distracted by the vibrant tapestry of wildflowers blooming beside it, didn't see the gnarled root lurking beneath a blanket of ivy. One misstep, a sharp intake of breath, and a searing pain shot up her leg. "Sophia. What happened?" Marco was instantly beside her, his usually jovial face etched with concern. She tried to stand, but a wave of nausea washed over her. I think I twisted my ankle." Marco knelt, gently examining the swelling already forming around her ankle bone. "It looks like a sprain. Can you put any weight on it?" Sophia shook her head, wincing. "No, not really." He looked around. The flower shop was a good 10-minute walk, and she clearly couldn't manage it. "All right," he said, his voice firm. "I'm going to carry you." Before she could protest, he'd scooped her up in his arms. Sophia, surprised by the suddenness of it, found herself clinging to his broad shoulders. The scent of his cologne, a subtle blend of citrus and spice, filled her senses. It was a long, silent walk back to the shop, punctuated only by Marco's grunts of exertion and Sophia's quiet apologies. He carefully deposited her on the small stool behind the counter. "Stay put," he instructed, disappearing into the back room. He returned with a wet cloth and an elastic bandage. Kneeling before her, he gently began to clean the injured area. "I feel terrible," Sophia mumbled, watching his focused expression. "You're going to be so sore tomorrow." Marco shrugged. "Don't worry about it. It's nothing." He paused, his gaze meeting hers. "Sophia. I need to tell you something." He swallowed hard, his cheeks flushing a faint pink. I have feelings for you. More than just friendship." The words hung in the air, thick and heavy. Sophia's heart pounded in her chest. She'd felt a connection with Marco, a warmth that went beyond simple camaraderie, but she hadn't allowed herself to acknowledge it. He was her friend's trainer, and she helped the same friend's mom. It was all so complicated. "Marco," she began, unsure of what to say. "I know, it's probably terrible timing," he rushed on, avoiding her gaze as he wrapped the bandage around her ankle. "And I shouldn't be saying this now, when you're injured and vulnerable, but I couldn't keep it in any longer. He finished tying the bandage and looked up at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Do you feel anything too? Sophia bit her lip. I do. I've felt it too, this connection. But Marco, this is complicated. Your friend. And his mom. Marco reached out, gently taking her hand. I know. But I had to tell you. Whatever happens, I needed you to know. His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand, sending shivers down her spine. The scent of the flowers, usually so comforting, Leo's blessing. The bell above the door of Forget-Me-Nots jingled, announcing Leo's arrival. He'd come to walk Sophia home, a silent agreement they'd formed after her late nights at the shop. Mom. He called out, the scent of lilies thick in the air. He found her near the back, amidst a riot of hydrangeas. And Marco. Their hands were clasped together, a silent language passing between them. Marco's thumb stroked the back of Sophia's hand, a gesture so tender it made Leo stop short. Leo's brain sputtered, stalled. He'd walked in on something significant. A blush crept up Marco's neck, staining it a comical shade of pink. Sophia's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and, was that hope? He swallowed, the air suddenly thick. Hi, he managed, his voice cracking slightly. He felt like he'd stumbled onto a movie set, unprepared for his cameo. Sophia's grip tightened on Marco's hand, a silent reassurance. Leo, darling, this is. Marco and we've been spending time together. Leo processed this, the gears in his head grinding slowly. Marco, his friend, the guy who complained about burpees, and his mom, the woman who could coax life from a single wilting petal, together. A smile, slow and genuine, spread across Leo's face. Of course. Why hadn't he seen it before? The way Marco's eyes lit up when Sophia talked about her flowers, the way Sophia seemed to stand a little taller when Marco was around. It was obvious, in retrospect. Well, Leo said, clapping Marco on the shoulder, perhaps a little too hard. About damn time. You had me worried, Mom. Thought you were going to spend the rest of your life arranging roses. Sophia laughed, a bright, relieved sound. Marco, still blushing, managed a weak smile. So, Leo continued, a mischievous glint in his eye. Does this mean free personal training sessions for life? Because I'm suddenly feeling very motivated to improve my squat form. He winked at Marco. Consider it my blessing. You make my mom happy, you get discounted deadlifts. Deal. Blooming love. The scent of hyacinths hung thick in the air, a sweet, almost dizzying perfume. Marco inhaled deeply, the heady aroma doing little to calm the frantic hummingbird trapped inside his chest. Leo had just left, a goofy grin plastered on his face, declaring he was off to celebrate with celebratory pizza. And now, it was just him and Sophia. He looked at her, standing amidst a riot of color. Sunlight streamed through the shop windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing around her and turning the silver strands in her hair to glittering threads. He felt a lump form in his throat. Sophia, he began, his voice rough. She turned, her eyes, the color of warm honey, met his. Marco. She echoed his tone, soft, questioning. He took a step, then another, drawn to her like a bee to pollen. He reached out, his hand trembling slightly as he cupped her cheek. Her skin was soft, warm, like sun-baked earth. He lowered his head, his gaze dropping to her lips. He hesitated. Was he really allowed this happiness? Sophia seemed to sense his uncertainty. She covered his hand with her own, her touch grounding him. Marco, she whispered again, a breathless invitation. He needed no further encouragement. He closed the distance between them, his lips meeting hers in a soft, tentative kiss. It was sweet, innocent, and filled with a longing that resonated deep within him. He deepened the kiss, and she responded, her arms circling his neck, pulling him closer. The hummingbird in his chest finally stilled, replaced by a gentle warmth that spread through his entire being. Later, as twilight painted the sky in hues of lavender and rose, they sat together in the back of the shop, Leo having returned with enough pizza to feed a small army. Leo, oblivious as ever to the deeper currents flowing between them, regaled them with tales of his celebratory feast. Marco and Sophia exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. This unconventional family, forged in shared pain and unexpected affection, was something precious, something worth fighting for. Leo paused mid-sentence, a slice of pepperoni pizza halfway to his mouth. "So," he said, his brow furrowed in mock seriousness. "Are we, like, officially a weird family now?" Sophia laughed, a bright, joyful sound that filled the small room. "I think we were always a little weird, darling." Marco smiled, feeling a sense of peace he hadn't known was possible. He reached across the table and took Sophia's hand, his calloused fingers intertwining with hers. "I think," he said, "we're perfect." As the night deepened, the flower shop stood bathed in the soft glow of the streetlights. Inside, amidst the vibrant blooms and the lingering scent of hyacinths, a love story was just beginning to unfold, as delicate and resilient as the flowers themselves.